Okay, this is the Fair TV Commission meeting, Wednesday, May 18th, 2022, 7 p.m. Um, we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which
to the
stands
republic
one nation,
which
under
stands
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
for
all.
all.
Okay, so to go through our agenda, the first item is, oops, sorry. I had it
Chairman's
and I
opening
lost it.
remarks. Chairman's opening remarks. That's you, Alex. Followed by Vice
I don't
Chairman.
have much to say. Thank you. Oh, I guess it's been a little bit of a busy month for Jerry in that he's been doing some hiring and has asked for our approval on that. He and I chatted about a meeting where the cable TV and the funding of Fair TV was discussed. And I guess that's kind of, looking iffy as you look into the future. And then one particular evening, I understand that Jerry had an issue with some equipment going down and, mid-meeting. And it's the kind of thing where in order to fix the equipment, you're going to really interrupt the meeting. And so he made the call to not do that, which I think was the right call. I think that's ultimately, but then what do we do to fix that so it doesn't happen? So Jerry's made some, suggestions, and I believe he needs some new gear, but also inquired about getting some equipment. So that's pretty much it from me. So we can go over those items in detail, which I believe are in the agenda as well. Anybody, Vice Chairman, have anything to add?
No, I think we got plenty left to talk about. Nothing from me.
Okay, thank you. So that brings me to Secretary's report.
Just approving the final minutes now. I guess what we'll do here, given we didn't have a June meeting, is somehow notate, or rather April meeting, that we notate the May notes. I don't know. Otherwise, we just approve the last meeting.
So we should approve the, if we didn't have an April meeting, that means we didn't approve the March minutes. So if we can go ahead now and approve the March minutes. So
Great.
Motion to approve the March minutes.
Second that. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. So the March minutes are officially approved. So Patrick, if you can send those in following the meeting, please. Thank you.
That's it.
And then what else? Okay, production manager's report.
Can you guys hear me now?
Just in
I
time.
hear you now.
Right on time.
There you go. All right. Okay. Well, Patrick laid it out pretty nicely there in the agenda. I'll start with the new hire guy. Jeff is basically coming in to do the archival work that we made arrangements with the town to take the job from the IT director. He's going to collate the weekly meetings that we don't cover, and these new additional meetings that are being picked up now they've been picked up all along by Zoom or WebEx or whatever. And they get put into a directory that Dave has established with the town on YouTube. So he'll come in a couple of days a week. He's got a Thursday deadline so that whatever's happened between Monday and Thursday midday has to be filed. He'll be paid $20 an hour. Eventually, we'll probably try to get him a laptop so he can maybe work from home a little, get a little ahead of the game, so he's not coming in on 2 days and trying to process 20 meetings. So that's basically the deal with that. We're going to be putting in. We've in the past we purchased 2 upgraded models of TriCasters that we kept aside once COVID kicked in because we really didn't need them. They were more complicated than necessary. but now that they're breaking out again, but we're going to try and put them into service. However, that may be limited as well once they start with this new Zoom room setups. I've been exploring like how we interface. I think what may just happen is we'll be able to centralize in one location to cover activity from the Board of Ed or anywhere that our primary meetings are, because they are, first of all, they aren't getting what they thought they were getting. They thought they were getting AI type cameras that track the speakers. That's not happening. The cameras are going to be, manually, well, not manually, but PZT type cameras. They'll set up to cover the room, and maybe if there's a speaker's table or something like that, but that'll pretty much be it. The real hook is making them live on FairTV. And I've discovered recently our current hub has a couple of issues with the devices that we bring the signal into the system with. They've been very reliable and whatnot, but it's difficult switching between the two channels with them. Sometimes they freeze up and you get stuck. The encoders get stuck. I'm working on fixing that. I think I have a solution. Initially, we'll just move our encoders around depending on whether the meeting is a Board of Ed meeting or a government meeting over at the Board of Ed offices at Kings Highway. Not a big deal. And what else? The state legislature that Alex mentioned, a bill came onto the floor to initiate not just including cable TV users, but internet users as well in the general PEG fee that's collected annually. Right now, it's about $7.20 a year. I don't know what the internet subscribers would have brought into that amount, but it got redirected, and they decided to have a study of the various stations like FairTV and what they're doing and how they're funded and that sort of thing. And so I'm expecting some kind of survey from Pura at some point. It's not really due until 2023. But just as a note, when the legislation was brought to passed in regards to the $100,000 that we get here in cable area 2 from the third-party provider, it was part of the legislation that they would come back. That was 12 years ago. And, investigate how we did with this money. And of course, we flourished far beyond whatever the third-party provider was providing. And unfortunately, talking to other station managers, their third-party providers are not much different than Soundview. But, that's the way it is. And so hopefully maybe this survey in 2023 will perhaps redirect the funding concept away from the regional providers and more to each town. There are towns that don't work under a regional provider, and they get the full contribution from their cable area.
So what
we'll
you're
see,
saying,
but-
what you're saying is that if I get a call from my cable company to do a survey, that now I actually have to say yes, I'll do it.
No, they'll probably send something to FairTV, and the commission might want to, be involved in it. But
Yeah.
I imagine that's how it'll be. It won't be. I mean, they may survey the subscribers and say, "What do you think of your public access?" I don't know, but I think initially
Gotcha.
I watched some of the discussion up in the State House on CNET there, and it was back and forth. There were certain people who had they really appreciate what we do in their town, and Then there were other folks who thought it was just another tax on cable, and cable is expensive, and even though it might be just 50 cents or something a month, it's more money. So that was kind of what drove it to be a study as opposed to an actual bit of legislation to enhance the fees, because there are a lot of cable cutters and it's more internet, but even the internet people, I mean, they're accessing FairTV on YouTube or wherever, and they watch our web stream and that sort of thing. So it's not as removed just because it's the internet. So that's kind of it with that. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be over at the Board of Ed getting this new system set up, and we'll try to get one set up soon over at Town Hall. Take pretty much the information that we put together. Oh yeah, one other thing. I did contact HB Communications, who did supply us with our encoders. Now, our encoders are high vision encoders. They're about $5,000 a piece. They're very sophisticated. High Vision offers an annual support program at $800 a year, which we don't have. HB wanted $500 for a support call. So, that's something that I'm trying to work around. I was going to talk to them about this issue with switching between, our encoders can handle, switching between destinations, like our government channel or our education channel. But I've discovered that when you do that, it jams up the amino decoder, which is how the signal gets into the system in general. One of the things I probably will look into is probably a better decoder at that level. I don't know. I'm going to put in a call and see what's going on and what kind of hardware is out there that might be a little more reliable in that regard, as far as switching between receiving different IP addresses is what it boils down to. Different encoder sources that have different IP addresses than what they're used to filtering. So we'll see about that. July is coming, and sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry,
July
Jerry.
is that's just one more thing. July is coming, and our new budget will kick in, and we'll start doing expanding on the virtual desk concept is what I call it. And it's working out, though. I'm discovering that more and more of these smaller bodies and commissions do their own Zooming or WebExing or whatever. The big job really will be the archival work, at least at the moment. One of the things, and to add to that, initially the concept was that they were going to use the regional fire station over here in Fairfield. It's got like 4 big meeting rooms, and the town is prepared to invest about $50,000 a room in these Zoom setups. Well, the deal is that they're very picky about who they'll let in there, when they'll let people in there, and the main issue is that they have to have a fire staff person there to close it up and that sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I did have a meeting with Brenda Kupchik in regards to all this, and work at the Board of Ed trying to get the studio together, which goes back to what I was talking about before in regards to these Zoom room setups over there, and that I don't know if necessarily once they get these things in place whether or not it will need to be there. It might be, but for now and until then, we're gonna stick to what we're doing, and that's why I'm upgrading the system. We got it. Cost us about $20,000, so I'm gonna use it, but I don't know how long that will be the case, simply because of this new element that they're bringing into play. So that's that from me.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Regarding the next one, the new hire approval. So I just have a couple questions before we get into that. Historically, has the commission approved your hires?
Yeah, I mean, I sent the resume. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow and talk with him.
I mean, he seemed like, look, I read the resume and seems fine. But short of like us doing a background check, I don't really see, we can kind of give you the thumbs up and good luck.
Yeah,
but
no,
what
yeah.
would you like to see happen from the perspective of the commission, just to make
Well,
sure?
if you want to give it if you want to, I mean, I've had some different candidates. They come in, they look around. I had one guy who's like works for A&E. He works in their engineering room, and it was. I don't know what he was expecting necessarily, but I don't think we were, the kind of studio that, he's walking out, he's in working in at the moment, but he was a good candidate. And he came and looked, and he was pleasant, but he never got back to me. And, and in that regard, and I'm adding it on here, sorry. I also had a meeting with Mr. Tom Bremer, the CAO for the administration, and we talked about IT is moving out of the basement, and there's going to be a lot of space down there, and their server room will be empty. And we talked about a studio in there that would also the first floor meeting room in town hall. So I don't know. Right now, it was just a conversation, but a studio would be great because we could evolve into, maybe doing some other programming, a weekly visit with the politicians, or whatever. It has to be equal players, but we could do some more of that, along with the regular, meetings that take place upstairs. But again, that's not a given. They have $450,000 for media upgrades, and right now, that's a lot of money, and we may be able to get a little more of that in relation to if they were willing to set up an actual studio set up in the basement, and also. The first floor meeting room is in good shape. It's an easy room to deal with, but more to move have a regular real control room and an adjacent studio environment would be pretty neat for us. So
yeah, I think it'd be awesome. But like, what would be filmed and then edit? What would be handled in there?
Well, again, I mean, we could do other stuff. I mean, we could do interviews, you could do news about town, you could do a weekly report. If we could get past this thing about politicians on air, Brenda could do a weekly on camera thing, or the first select person, no matter who they are, and other kinds of things. I mean, you could bring people down from the health department, they could do a weekly show. I mean, there's things that can happen, updates from DPW, or,
I think it's great. I mean, do you think that there's like room in the budget for, all of the manpower to just handle all that stuff?
I mean, again, this is just conversation, so it's not really budgeted for, and unless the studio exists and they want to fund it. This is the other reason why the legislation might have been helpful. But as well, I think in general, we need to approach the Pura and say, look, you need to. I think once they get underway with this thing, although they're stretching it way out, and this it involves the commission too, getting involved up in Hartford, but the money is lopsided. We're out here. I've got 1,600 shows under my belt since I've started with this program. I do about 250 a year. SoundView does about 20, and they get $1 million a year. you know, and it's the same with the other town specific channels in our area. We're all doing all kinds of stuff, or at least, you know, as much programming as we can, and, you know, they get all the money, and it just doesn't break out well. And it has to be addressed. I don't know exactly how. I mean, this legislation, I don't know if it really was a start to talk about it. But again, back when we got the money originally, it was part of the discussion, and it was in the document to revisit what had happened with the use, you know, with getting this money. And we have I mean, Fair TV's got a pretty good track record, at least as far as content and, you know, putting it out there and doing what we do. And so does Orange and Woodbridge and Milford as well. But, you know, we're not getting this real support in relation to the service we're doing. And the idea that Soundview, who's our regional provider, gets almost $1 million a year for just the public access station for the most part, because their government channels are really weak. You know, if you go to Soundview on, you know, their webpage, take a look and see what they've got. It's like, you know, they cover the Common Council there, or however the Assembly or whatever the government breaks out. I'm not certain, but and the Board of Ed. That's it. That's what they do. 2 meetings a month, 3 maybe. We do 10 and then some, because we have special meetings and we sometimes, you know, add on stuff. But you know, on average, I cover between 10 and 16 meetings a month. You know, and we get hardware money every year when we apply for it, but we don't get any money for labor. We don't, you know, because it's not there, but it should be. You know, the town has been generous as far as supporting the labor, but and I'm going to add this on, Fair TV Commission does have to think about fundraising. You know, because if we want to evolve, the money's going to have to evolve. So, you know, that's kind of where it's at.
It does seem like,
does.
yeah, Jerry, it does seem like this is a conversation that the commission needs to be thinking about going forward, not just what the legislature may do, what may come of this survey, but also, just as you mentioned, the sort of the changing nature of how people are consuming television, and what that means for us, and maybe also understanding how people in Fairfield are you know, accessing Fair TV. That's probably stuff we should all be very familiar with by the time anybody presents us with a survey or questions.
Oh, most definitely. It's kind of difficult to gauge the cable viewing because the cable companies won't give you the information. They call it proprietary. However, we can gauge our web stream activity. We do get some stats on that. And also our visits to the VOD sites on, you know, YouTube. The Board of Ed and the Board of Finance are big hits. They always get pretty good numbers as far as, you know, what we are, you know. So, you know, I mean, there are ways we can gauge it, but a survey from the commission to the community might not be a bad idea for a lot of reasons, in the sense of, oh, yeah, what's this for the people who don't watch it? Maybe if they got something in the mail one day about Fair TV or in an email, you know, they might think about it, you know, or, you know, a survey that went out just to see what our viewership is like, how people do watch us. You know, and we have a divided community. The seniors usually watch it on TV, but I mean, as boomers become seniors, we're watching it on the internet. And there are even some younger people who watch it, you know, which is, I find interesting sometimes when I'm at the high school, whatnot. They all know what Fair TV is. A lot of them, anyway. And so, you know, I guess I should throw this in. We may or may not cover the high school graduations because the high schools are deciding whether or not to hire it out again and have an extravaganza kind of thing, which is fine, big screen TV, all that kind of, projection, all that sort of thing that they did like last year. I think they liked it. And also they sell tickets. they get revenue off the web stream and whatnot, or,
Can we make it
downloading
pay? We can go there and make a pay-per-view station for the week. Yeah.
They've had
Would
sold
be
to
a
get
bad
my class of
idea.
22 at Ludlow. No more.
But anyway,
have to get my senior at.
But as you said, it is something that the commission, I think, should have regular awareness to, and conversations, a subcommittee kind of concept, perhaps, and handle it that way.
I think it starts with education, as you're kind of pointing out, is just to really understand what's going on, where, what are they talking about with the funding and changing things, and, are we getting our share of funding, and if not, who do we talk to about that? Which they'll certainly say, go away, but maybe there's a way to, convince them that we're not going away.
There's a couple of ways, it's dealt with. It's dealt with, essentially, there's a federal document, 1985, that created all this, bureaucracy. And then the states all got involved, and each state then made regulations. And then, that sort of cooked down to the, how they divided it up. And here, like I say, here in Connecticut, and other states too, they have these regional structures, along with single town, entities. So, like up in Waterford, they get $500,000 a year in subscriber money. New Haven as well, West Haven. I firmly believe that, and this was a discussion back when we were involved with the legal thing, when Soundview was, after the law was passed, they were trying to claw back the money every year for about 10 years. That we have probably at least 30,000 subscribers, maybe more, with Cablevision. I don't know how many with Frontier, probably another 10. But if we got that $7.20 for our town alone, that would be a big deal. That would be a fair piece of change, and, could help out a lot. So, there has been discussion, but it is a legislative issue. It's not like you can go to the cable companies and just say, hey, give us our fair share. It has to be legislated. And I think if Pure really wants to do this right, they should really investigate the relationship of the third-party providers with the towns that they oversee. Because in my conversations, as I said earlier, they're not much different than Soundview. They keep the money. So, and there's, that's the way it is.
All right. Well, I think that $500,000 would be nice right about now. I'm sure we could get a lot of TriCasters with that. All right. Well, I think look, I think it's on everybody to go learn a little bit about it, or somebody to go learn a little bit about it and then present it to everybody, and, see what the next steps are. And, we have legislators in our town, so I'm certain that, they are familiar with FairTV. We could ask them, hey, when you're up in Hartford next time, can you bring this up? Can you simply bring up everybody getting their fair share? How do we understand what everybody's fair share really is, and if we're getting ours or if we're not? I think that sounds wonderful.
Well, I have a link to the discussion that took place on the State House floor in regards to this. I will send it out.
Please.
Great.
And you can get a look at the discussion that took place. The law that it was passed. I don't know if they're going to, somebody, there are people who are interested in this, and maybe somebody might in the next legislative session say, well, look, in relation to this, what about this? We need to address this as well.
Yeah,
so maybe that can happen.
I think we're all learning that, you know, even if and when something has become settled law, it can still become unsettled law. And so, you know, I think it's worth
Yes,
checking
this is
out.
true.
You know, so that said, thank you very much, Jerry. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Mark, anything you'd like to talk about?
No, I think it's, as you said, I think it's over the next few weeks, I think would be a good idea for all of the commissioners to maybe have some time to think about this. And then we could decide as a commission whether we want to, you know, set up a subcommittee that sort of takes ownership of that question. But yeah, I will admit I have some homework to do.
Yeah, likewise. So that I think that discussion will be helpful just to sort of give us all a little background. If you don't mind sending that over, like you said, Jerry, that'd be great.
I'll
Dave,
send
anything?
out that link.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just ask one question? Does anybody know what happened with the Sacred Heart video?
What Sacred Heart video? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Paula emailed me that she couldn't make it. I forgot to mention, and she said that Greg, I think is his name, who's heading it up at Sacred Heart, working on it, was trying to get an opportunity to get more B-roll footage or something, and is going to be picking it back up in June. I mean, I can read her email to you if you guys want word for
No,
word.
that's
basically the gist of it. That was basically the gist of it. And so, you know, she apologized for not being here. I guess something came up, but you know, that's okay. Okay. So, David, anything you'd like to bring up or talk about? Dave's quiet.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
No,
no problem.
I just no, just listening along. I'm good.
All right. Well, I think if there's no additional business from Jerry, looking at the agenda, any unfinished business that we need to talk about? I'm not aware of any. New business?
Well, you just brushed on the Sacred Heart. That's the only one that would have been on my sort of minutes and agenda, but you covered it, so I can note it and carry it as it
Okay,
were.
cool. That good with
Yeah.
everybody?
Yeah.
That works.
Okay, thank you. New business. Strike all amendment. Is
That's
that what
what
we were just talking about?
Yeah, that was
Okay,
Talking
the,
about.
I just didn't realize that was like the title of it. Thank you. And there it is in the document. Thank you very much.
It's all right.
And then finally, good of the order.
I think we
Anybody?
covered it. I think we covered it tonight.
I feel
think we did a
good.
lot of- I think we did a lot of good for the order tonight, team.
All right. Well, listen, if nobody has anything to add, thank you all very much. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for you know, doing all your hard work. And I think all of us here, especially in the production space, understand, you know, that as simple as it all may seem, sometimes equipment does fail and it's hard to fix it on the fly. So, you know, thanks for fielding that and just kind of handling it and doing everything you're doing to maintain FairTV and you know, keep the broadcast going. Much appreciated, Jerry.
well, thank you.
With that said, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 I think that was everybody. All right.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Motion carries. Have a great night. We'll see you all next month. Jerry, please send us that that link so we can check it out.
Yeah, I'll send that link. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I'll include it in the minutes. Thanks, everybody. Good meeting.
All right, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a
gentlemen.
good night.
Good evening.